morning. Good morning, class. Welcome back. School is in session. Happy Friday to the health shredders of the world out there. Welcome to the very first School of Shred Q&A Friday. You got questions, we got answers. So before we begin, if you guys can let me know where you're located, where you guys are tuning in from, that would be awesome. Participate. Throw a flex emoji in the comments. Show a little bit of love. Show a little bit of muscle. Welcome to the show. So, quick housekeeping is this show is live here on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 5 shows a week coming at you. If you can't catch us live here, you can always jump over on the podcast app and search The School of Shred, the one and only School of Shred. And we're also on Spotify. So if you guys are Spotify listeners, if you subscribe there, go ahead and show us some love and jump on there and take us on the go. Take the school on the go. This is the show that helps you shred your old and make better your new. A better body, a better mindset, a better life. This is holistic health and fitness. It's exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle. Mindset's a big part of that. So this is episode 19. We're getting up there. Our first Q&A Friday. So all week I was encouraging everyone to ask their questions on my Instagram at John Reed Fitness. That's where I was collecting a lot of these guys. And so I thank you for your questions. I'm going to go over 5 of them. The other ones that I got, I'm just going to put on a backlog. And as these questions continue to roll in, I'll have to kind of vet the best ones that I think would be applicable for the majority of you every week. And then we'll go from there. But the more questions, the better. So I appreciate you guys' participation. And let's get into it. So the first question today is tips for motivation. And the question reads, tips for motivation, LOL, I'm struggling. So this is a big one. So motivation obviously is talked about a lot when it comes to health and fitness. It tends to come and go. Motivation is like waves or clouds. It will come and you'll have motivation and you could do a lot with that. But then when they pass, what are you left with? You're left with discipline. Okay, and so I want to get into some things that ways of to inoculate and to build more discipline, because that's what it really comes down to. When you're not motivated, you should expect to not be motivated. There's times when you're not going to be motivated, and that's when habits creep in, and that's when just nudging the current discipline you have can be very important. But what I want you to do if you're struggling with motivation is write your goals down. So write your goals down, get as defined as possible. We've gone over this before, but this is going to be something that we're going to talk about very frequently, which is getting as descriptive with your goals as possible. And really get the deeper the emotional pull to reach your goal, the more fuel you'll have in the tank. Okay. So if it's something that's just, I just want abs because I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, that's good luck reaching that goal because it's not emotionally pulling at you. But if it's, I want to get abs and I want to be lean because that represents health to me, and you know, my parent passed away from some type of cancer and I don't want to repeat that process, and I'm scared of disease and things like that, and I want to make sure I'm doing everything that I can to stay healthy and fit and to not fall in line. And I want to change my genetic, my genetic lineage. I want to change. I want to make a successful lineage. That is an emotional pull. Okay, that doing something that's changing for generations to come, that has a deep pull that will fuel you for a long time. So whatever it is, even if you feel like it is a cosmetic goal right now, it very well could be. A lot of people, I know this happened for me, you have to reach your physical goals first before you get to the next thing, which is the wellness and worrying about this long-term deal, because your goals are going to evolve over time. But they got to have some type of emotional pull. And when they have an emotional pull over you, you wake up every day and you review them in the morning to start your day. And then that emotional pull will help you and give you that fuel on the days when you're not motivated. That's what gives you the discipline, is the greater good. You're doing something for the greater good. And so I have write your goals down, tie a deep emotional pull, get descriptive. Number 2 is review them first thing in the morning. Right when you get up, think about them, marinate on it. Think about one thing you're going to do to get to your goal today, and how do you see your day going? So you visualize this goal and you reset it every day right in the morning. And then be grateful that you have the ability to pursue your goal. A lot of people don't have the ability. Okay. Someone very dearly that I love in my life recently just lost their leg, had it amputated. Somebody I love very much. It's basically a family member to me. And if I wake up every day and I think about how, I don't want to go train legs, but I have the ability to go run, squat, do jujitsu, all of that. That right there, to me, makes me extremely grateful for the life that I have. And that right there can provide motivation. Just being grateful that you can actually pursue better health and you're not so far gone yet that it's terminal. Keep that in perspective. I know it's heavy, but we got to think like that if we really want to start making changes. It's got to really pull at our strings. So that's tips for motivation. Number 2, we're gonna lighten this mood up. Number 2, we got best protein source. What is the best protein source? So the best protein source, we're going to break this into 3 categories really quick for you guys. Number 1 thing that you should focus on is a minimally processed, hormone-free, and ethically raised source. Okay, so the best meat that you can buy, I want you guys to consider thinking about, what does your food eat? What's the soil your food grows in? That's very, very important. That can affect our gene expression. This thing called epigenetics. Okay, so a calorie is not just a calorie. That's argued a lot in the nutritional realm, but you have 2 different food sources that will cause 2 different hormonal responses. Therefore, a calorie is not a calorie. And when you start considering what does your food eat, that's going to basically, what our food is doing is collecting nutrients for us. So whether it's plants collecting minerals from the ground and the sun's energy, and we eat that and we get energy from it, or if it's an animal that we consume that's eating off the land, that's consuming the nutrients from the land. Okay, so like the alpha lipoic acid and the CLA from grass-fed cows, those guys are collecting that, and then we eat that, and that's part of it. You can't separate that, and we should really be aware of that, because when we're looking at long-term holistic health, this is something that we want to at least move towards. And so I want to have that be number 1. So minimally processed, if you're just starting out, means limit processed proteins if you can as much as possible. Try to rely on all whole food. And then over time, if you guys are getting a little bit more advanced with your health practices, start to spend a little more money on hormone-free, ethically raised meat. Try to shop local. We need to support local business right now more than ever. We're in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and there's a lot of logistic issues with major meat, and factory farming is kind of despicable, the way that it is just operated. And so go to find a local meat, local farmer, You can get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, and if you guys buy it, like buy the half beef or a quarter, if you go in a quarter and a quarter with somebody else, you spend like $1,500, but you can get grass-fed, grass-finished beef for like $4 a pound. It's amazing that how much cheaper it is if you just buy it and get a deep freezer. So you can look into those options. So that's number one for best protein source: minimally processed, hormone-free, ethically raised protein sources. Okay. Number two is a source that you are not allergic or intolerant to. Okay. So we don't want to have protein sources that might be causing gut irritation or inflammation. So again, we have to go through some protein sources that might be problematic, and you have to explore that on your own. So you have all of your meats, you have your eggs. You got to make sure that you're not getting any type of inflammatory response from your eggs when you eat them on an empty stomach. Are your fingers swelling up? Does your face get puffy the next day? Do you get any type of gastrointestinal issues? That's all good stuff to look at to see where that food is on a intolerance level. Or you can simply get a blood test and have your blood tested, and that can come back and let you know. I was hanging out with a couple clients, friends, business acquaintances, overall great people in the health field, and their son got tested and showed that he was actually intolerant to avocados, which are going to be on most healthy meal plans. And this kid's a stud, got a lot of muscle. He's into bodybuilding, but he can't have avocados or it causes inflammation. So it might be worth getting tested, at least exploring. Number three is a complete protein source is going to be the best protein source. So one that contains all 9 essential amino acids. Out of those amino acids, those 9 essential amino acids, you're trying to get the BCAAs, the branch-chained amino acids. There's 3 of them: leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And leucine is the one that is responsible for specifically to kickstart muscle protein synthesis. So good complete protein source. Basically meat, animal products. If you're going to do a non-meat diet, look at eggs and dairy if you are not intolerant to dairy. So number 3, question 3 is somebody asked, I find it hard to sleep at night. Am I doing something wrong? I'm in tech and work late. Shout out to all my tech people out there. I live in Seattle, Bellevue area in Washington. We're a tech hub of the United States of America. And this is really common. It's really common for my clientele to have to put in long hours and have to operate on a computer late at night with blue light coming in, which can stunt the production of melatonin, which helps you get restful sleep. So a couple things, if you're in tech and you work late, I'm assuming you're in front of a computer. That's what you mean by you work late. And so if you're having a hard time sleeping, you want to look at what leads up to you going to bed. So are you able to get into a sympathetic branch of your nervous system, or parasympathetic branch, I'm sorry. So a rest and digest state. The sympathetic branch of the autonomic nervous system is the fight or flight. And so 2 hours before bed, at least, we want to start winding our body down to get into this parasympathetic response, this rest and digest. So a couple things that you can do starting this weekend, starting today, is block blue light a couple hours before bed. So there's an app that I got on my computer, on my Mac. It's called the Brightness Widget by GIST LLC. I think it was like $4. And what it does is it can go like 200% dimmer than the stock dimming on your computer. And furthermore, when it goes dim, it actually turns like a brown orange glow that kills all blue light. It's fantastic. So like I sit in a pretty dark, my household, we stay pretty dark at night. And so if I'm going to sit in bed and maybe do a little computer work, I have this thing turned way, way down. And then I also wear blue blocking glasses. So that is another thing that you can do. So you can download this app, the Brightness Widget. You can get blue blocking glasses to help any kind of screen glare or blue blocking furthermore. And then lay in bed in a dark room 1 hour prior to bed. You can have an oil diffuser going with some lavender or eucalyptus that helps calm the CNS. Something I do. It's awesome. And yeah, so but laying in bed and laying down, you're kind of getting your body in a restful state, even though you have to do some work. So that can help you if you're having a hard time sleeping at night and you're working late. If you're revved up, hopefully that answers your question. So if not, go ahead and write back in and we'll revise it. But that's what I'm assuming you're asking. And then we have number 4, how many cheat meals can I have? How many cheat meals can you have a week, a month, a year? We got to specify that. If you're asking a week, it depends on what your experience is. Like if you're brand new to eating healthy and you've eaten healthy you've made some good changes for 5 days in a row, then go ahead and relax on the weekends in the beginning. You're new to this thing. If you are more experienced and you're kind of in the intermediate stages of dieting, maybe just try to do 1 cheat meal a week. And then eventually you don't plan cheat meals eventually. So when I started lifting, what I would do is a cheat day and I would binge eat all day. And I realized that wasn't healthy by any stretch. And that would actually set me back. And then so it went to like a half day of overeating. And now what it's progressed to is I just don't plan them. And I really let my body guide me if I'm feeling really low on energy. And I'm to a point where I try not to junk load anymore because there's, processed food can have a negative effect cellularly. So I try to actually load up on high calories, but just really good foods. And so that brings into question this idea of overconsumption or junk loading. What is your cheat meal? Are you just overconsuming calories? Or do you want to eat straight up junk food that's got inflammatory oils and processed stuff in it that might cause irritation to you? In yesterday's episode, we talked about caloric rotation. Okay. And so in caloric rotation, there's really no cheat meal because I brought up the example that if you were to go lower calorie Monday through Thursday, you could afford to say do 3,000 calories on Friday and Saturday, which to somebody who needs to eat 2,000 calories a day, that's quite a ceiling. And that's not really a cheat meal. So I think a cheat meal would be junk loading. I think that would be the best way to go about it because you could just say over consuming calories with healthy food. That's not really a cheat day. That could be a refeed day. It could be within your calorie rotation for the week. And so that's something to consider. Highly processed junk foods, you guys, as minimal as possible. I'll say it. There's if it fits your macros movement, which is all good for people who don't want to feel like they're limited. That's not the way that I operate with my clientele. I would like to encourage people to eat the best food sources possible. A big issue with this society right now is we have gotten away from our natural roots, and we have amazing things available to us in 2020. We have computers, we have all this amazing information, we have beautiful technology. What's ruining it all is our access to processed spaceman food that is not natural. And so if there was a way that we could de-evolve the way that we're eating back to 200 years ago and keep all of the other great stuff, all the other technology, then that is what would really, really help our society get out of this metabolic syndrome, cancer, heart disease, all of these issues. Coupled with stress management. So highly processed foods, try to go as minimal as possible. But don't beat yourself up if you fall off and you do. It's life. You're going to do it. So hopefully you do it less and less as time goes on. You get more experienced. So hopefully that answers your question. And then the last one I got was, what's your favorite rock song? So I'm a rock and roll guy. So I've been playing guitar pretty much my whole life. It's like my favorite hobby. Most people who know me know that I'm really passionate about rock music and go to concerts. And, that was something I did growing up. I played in bands. So my favorite rock song, though, man, there's not a favorite rock song. It's really hard to hone in. There's so many. It's an impossible question. So I'll just give you some bands that I love. So my favorite bands are Ozzy Osbourne's discography. He's got the sickest guitar players that he gets. Extreme with Nuno Betancourt, another one of my favorite bands, absolutely amazing. They do great stuff like funk, rock, metal. Van Halen, shout out to Van Halen. Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, and then some new guys, Dirty Honey. I saw Dirty Honey a couple months back, pre-COVID times, with my girlfriend. She surprised me for my birthday, and we went, had a VIP experience, and those guys like kicked ass. They played a smaller club here in Seattle, and they played it like it was an arena. I mean, they were like, there was a drum solo. They all went off stage, and there was a guitar solo and a bass solo. Like, these dudes were legit, and they're just killers. So they're gonna blow up. I know it. And then Santa Cruz, these guys are awesome. They're everything great about old, like all the old good, like rock and roll, and they're kind of revitalizing it. So, and then my favorite guitar players are Zakk Wylde, Nuno Bettencourt, and Eddie Van Halen. Those guys inspire me daily to play and pick up the instrument. So that's it for Friday's Q&A. Looking at a good little chunk of time here. So this is why 3 to 5 questions is probably what I'll keep it at. So that's it for this week, you guys. So that was your Friday Q&A number 1. This is episode 19 of the School of Shred. I appreciate you guys tuning in this week. I appreciate all the love and support. The reviews on the podcast app has been great. I want to try and get a little bit of feedback on every medium because there's a lot of them. There's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, and there's a podcast app, and there's also Spotify. So jump on any of those guys. Take the school on the go with you so you can learn more about holistic health and fitness. We'll be back on Monday with a whole nother week, 9 a.m. every day, Monday through Friday, the School of Shred. I'm your host, John Reed. And you guys have a great weekend. Be safe, be healthy. And with that, I want you to stay strong and healthy in body. Stay relentless and energized in your spirit. And stay determined in your pursuits. That spells shred. Now go shred your day and get better in every way. We'll see you guys next week. Class is dismissed.